Hi, this video is about mixing quantum physics on one side and what you would probably call self-development or psychology on the other side. Specifically, I want to talk to you about a topic that is absolutely fascinating and that I am exploring in even deeper layers as I go. I want to bring up the topic of quantum entanglement, and I'm going to marry it with a topic that we all know, trust. Now, what is quantum entanglement? Quantum entanglement means that when you have two particles, say photons, electrons, even atoms, molecules, who were born in the same system, as part of the same system, like a human, these particles will be entangled. That means when one particle changes some propriety, like what it does, what it looks like, the other one will go exactly the other way. So it can be the polarization in the case of photons. I'm not going into much detail here, but you can think of one particle flipping like this, and then the other particle will flip like this. So the overall value of the system stays stable. So when one goes -1, the other one goes +1, so the overall value of the system remains 0. That is, in a nutshell, what quantum entanglement does. Now, that means that there are particles, and not just two, there can be many particles linked, like billions, whatever, as many as you can think, and even a lot more. They can be linked, and actually they are all linked. That is fascinating because it points to the spiritual truth that everything is connected. So everything is actually connected. And what's really important about this connection is it violates the relativity theory. So there is no information traveling back and forth between the two particles. There's no information. The change is instantaneous. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. He refused to believe that this is what happens on a quantum level until his death. Today, quantum entanglement is a thing that no longer needs to be disputed. Now, what I want to share with you is that when two particles are entangled, what can change one particle that also makes a change to the next particle? It is observation. Observation is enough. To observe something means to create something. When you observe something, regardless what it is, you are creating a new physical reality. Let me repeat this. If you just look at me right now, if you just look at the video right now, everything that has to do with this video, including me, because I'm now entangled with this video, are changing because you're watching it. And that is so deep. It means that consciousness, so the power of observation, which comes from consciousness, has the power to immediately create a new physical reality. To people who study Eastern philosophy and religious scripts, This is no new thing. However, we as most people who are watching this will probably be from a Western/Christian background. And for us, this idea is very difficult to accept, which is why a lot of scientists still today refuse this idea that quantum entanglement happens also on a larger scale, not just on the experimental small scale. Let me give you an example what quantum entanglement really looks like in your everyday life. I'm pretty confident you've been in the situation when somebody called you just after you have been thinking of that person. Now, some people say this is a coincidence. I say it's quantum entanglement. Because you are part of the same system. You created the same system, the system of your relationship. So you thinking of that person triggered a reaction within the other person. There's also a famous example from Carl Gustav Jung, one of history's leading psychiatrists. He had a patient once who refused to make any progress over as much time as half a year. She refused to assign any meaning to the dreams that she had. She had recurring dreams though. Her dream came with a specific type of bug. She always dreamt about the same bug, as a scarab. And when one day she again refused to assign meaning to that scarab dream, an insect flew against the window of Carl Gustav Jung's practice and flew at it again until it died. He opened the window and picked up the European version of a scarab beetle. Now, what we're seeing is something happening inside of that woman and something happening outside of that woman, just like the example with the telephone. And Carl Gustav Jung called these events synchronicity. And that's a term that is still being used today very widely, actually. Now, there's not just this word, because synchronicity seems to be sitting somewhere between causality. So when I drop this pencil, it will drop. Let me just adjust the camera a little. The pencil will drop. So there's a cause that causes the effect, right? Now, there are circumstances when there's an effect, but there seems to be no cause. But it's clearly not random. There is a connection there. So what Wolfgang Pauli came up with is the term acausality, in German Akausalität. Acausality sits between causality, as we saw it with the pencil, and total randomness. Acausality suggests that there is some sort of an energetic and immediate connection, specifically the quantum entanglement, between everything and anything. So what we're seeing is a beautiful way of describing what's going on in the world, which is basically just nothing but absolutely fundamental quantum physics. And this process is able to link your internal processes with external occurrences of things. Now, that brings us to the law of attraction straight away. This is the quantum physical explanation of the law of attraction. What's going on inside of you is directly linked to what's going on outside of you. Which means that when there is something in your life that you're not okay with, you have to change it inside of you. It's much easier and much more effortless. And that is fascinating because this is where the simple concept, simple yet mind-blowing concept of quantum entanglement is taking us now. It literally means that what is going on inside of us will show up in our outside world because everything is linked. Our thoughts are linked with the outside world. Our emotions are linked with the outside world. This is hard to accept for some people because they believe in a deterministic world where God basically put everything into place and then left it to itself. Quantum physics today knows that everything is not just a deterministic network of robots and like machines, as some scientists and some people like to see life. But actually, life and the universe are highly dynamic and always changing systems. And we are a part of it. The deep beauty of this quantum physical concept of entanglement, quantum entanglement, lies in the fact that there is absolutely nothing happening for no reason, which means that everything that happens makes sense, has a meaning. You can trace it down to your thoughts or to what you're picking up right now in terms of sensual experience, sensual information. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you touching? What are you smelling? It all has meaning. Unfortunately, we are in a society which has trained us to not pay attention to these subtle messages from our own soul, if you will, from our own being or the universe, if you will. We are trained to use our mind. What I'm going to add here is that the mind, the controlling mind, which is really useful, don't abandon it, it's super useful, is actually a very male concept, masculine concept, whereas the seeming chaos of creation, which is just as a thought experiment, a result of quantum entanglement, is a very female concept. And the reason why we are in a bit of trouble today on this planet is because we have been neglecting the female side of reality. We have been neglecting and trying to suppress the chaos. Think about the witch hunts earlier in Europe, a few hundred years ago. Think about how women are still being treated today. They are being seen as a menace. Why? Because the brooding, beautiful, creative, chaotic nature of the female, which is absolutely necessary, is seen as a threat by some males, by a lot of males actually, because they have that inside of them as well. They also have that side. But they're trying to suppress it because they believe they need to keep everything under control. And remember, control is trying to make the chaos absent. And the chaos is just a seeming chaos because you don't see that there is always meaning and sense behind it, which comes from the simple yet mind-boggling concept of quantum entanglement. Do you see? It's beautiful, it's fascinating, I love it. So where does that leave us? What is my practical advice for you? This video is basically nothing but a big call for trust, for letting go. Because letting go means to let go of control. And moving into trust means to let go of control. Moving into trust and letting go means to accept chaos. It means to accept that our mind doesn't understand everything, and that doesn't need to. We don't need to understand everything by the means of our mind. Science is highly regarded in our society, but science is almost exclusively a tool of our mind. And if something occurs that doesn't fit into the scientific mind, it is discarded. So, what is the consequence of what I'm saying here? Trust. You will never be able to understand what forces are exactly behind the chaos that is life. But you will understand that there is always meaning, and you will understand that it inflicts more pain on you to hold on to control where you can actually not hold on to control. This is where pain comes up. This is where pain comes into reality. Pain comes into reality when we try to control something that cannot be controlled because there are influences that are completely outside of us. But by trusting it and by letting it go, we can let the process flow painlessly through us. And it means that we can save our power for what we really want, for where we want to create something new. So, to live a healthy and fulfilled life, it is very important to let go of control where you cannot exert control, and use that force somewhere where you can. And I want you to remember that this is just based on one quantum physics principle, which is one of the reasons why I'm so fascinated by this. As a coach, I use this principle very heavily with quantum technology. I've got here a little machine that helps me put the theory that you just heard even better into reality than it is possible with just my normal human abilities. So if you want to know where you need to let go and where you should take more control, I am your coach. I can help you with that. And I guarantee you that you will get results from this. Your life will change quite heavily. And I want to encourage you to write down below this video in the comments where you feel that you need to let go of control. Where do you feel you need to let go of control? Now that you've seen that it is so vital, even on a physical level. And I also want to encourage you, if you're on YouTube, to subscribe to this channel, because there will be more such videos. And if you're on Instagram, please follow me. And if you're on Facebook, also feel free to connect with me in one or the other way. And if you have a question around your life where you need support, please contact me. I can help you. All right. I wish you a very beautiful day. Bye.